Hello, I'm Roy Barrett from the Claymills Victorian pumping station. That's in Burton on Trent as well. Sometimes we think there's nothing in Burton, but Burton's got its moments. In the middle of the 19th century, Burton rapidly grew from being a toddy town to the largest brewing centre in the world really. From the mid to the late 19th century, some of this rapid development took place. And with this rapid development came all sorts of pollution problems. It takes 9 pints of beer, it takes 10 pints of water to make 1 pint of beer. The 1 pint keeps us nice and happy, but the 9 pints ends up as polluted water, and that proved such a problem it had to be treated. So the good old town council of Burton in the late 19th century, in the 1970s, 80s, set about doing something about it. And these 5 million gallons of polluted water had to be got away to a safe place to be treated properly, and that was at Eggington. The sewage ran this far by gravity, but then the problems arose because Eggington's another 4 miles down the road and another 100 feet up in the air. So that meant a pumping station, and that's what the Claymills, what we now call the Claymills Victorian pumping station, did. It pumped this 4 to 5 million gallons of sewage a day from here up to the sewage farm at Eggington. The site consists of 4 large beam engines. Beam engines were what they used to pump in those days. I mean, nowadays this pumping capacity could be in a building the size of a double garage, but in those days it was beam engines in these large engine houses. There are 4 beam engines here, built by Jimson's of Leicester, and a boiler house with 5 Lancashire boilers in the middle. There again, the Lancashire boiler was the main source of steam supply in the 19th century, from the 1850s, when invented by a chap called William Fairbairn, until the the 1920s, 30s. But now they've disappeared rapidly, and the ones at Claymills are probably some of the few working steam Lancashire boilers to be found in Britain. We've also, at the end of the 19th century, in about 1900, the council decided to build their main maintenance depot here. So we've got a very large Victorian steam-driven workshop. That, I think, is one of the glories of the site. You can see Victorian machinery. It's not rare. You see it in museums, but it's very rare to see it in working context. Our Victorian planers, slotters, not millers because they weren't invented, lathes, drilling machines, all driven by a Vernon and Guest steam engine in the corner, all busily working away. This is the beam engine house of C&D. There were 4 engines, A, B, C and D. A and B were the first to get going in 1885 and the first to stop in 1969, and these 2 engines carried on until 1971, and these were the engines that are now survived. A and B engines are in a pretty bad way, but we're considering restoring at least one of them. This is the back of the engine house, and you can see the pumps, the actual business end of the works, the pumps, they're going up and down, whacking 90 gallons at a time up the main. This is the operating engine house of the Claymills Victorian pumping station, and as we said before, this would have been the technology of the late 19th century that would for pumping water, or in this case it was sewage. These engines are by Jimson of Leicester. Mr. Jimson himself is another story, I suppose, but he was quite a fascinating character. He was one of the early members of the Secular Society. We can see here the flywheel. Flywheel's 24 feet and 24 tons. It whizzes around at about 12 revolutions a minute. This is the sort of business end of the engine. These are the cylinders of the actual steam engine. This one on the left is the high pressure cylinder, and this one on the left, on the right, is a low pressure cylinder. It's a compound engine. We're moving on into the late 19th century. And we've got the operating handles here. This would have been worked by the engine driver, and very much like a locomotive steam engine, the engine drivers worked their way up over the years through cleaning, stoking and all these things until they got to the position of God and became the engine driver. A bit like a car engine, it won't go at top and dead bottom centre. There's no problem in your car, you just get in your car and there's a little electric motor which pushes the engine round till it stops. Can't quite do that with a steam engine because it's too big. So you have these handles, you move the engine round to the right position, and briefly somebody operates the handles, which operates the valve gear, gets the engine going, and then off it goes. And as you see, once it's going, you keep an eye on things and it just keeps going, chugging away all day long. This is the top end of the engine. There are more valves. You can see the valves here working that let the steam in and out, and then to enable the engine to sort of go on its own. And you can also see Stephen's parallel motion. Might not mean much to you, but parallel motion is a clever device which enables the pistons to go up and down, while the beam it's fastened to at the top swings as an arc. Well, you really have to come along to appreciate all these things. This is the top level of the engine house. It's called the beam level. That's because the beam of the engine we can see swinging up and down over here. This is the unusual feature about the Claymills beam engines, is they had this fabricated beam. Beams were usually cast iron, but no, these were all fabricated and riveted together. All these features can be seen when you come along to visit this fascinating museum in Burton on Trent. These are the Lancashire boilers. There's a range of 5 in this boiler house. This one's the operating boiler. There are 5 Lancashire boilers in this boiler house, and there's currently 1 operating and 1 that's under maintenance. A lot of steam societies these days will use modern package boilers, but we still use the old Lancashire boiler. And the coal this time has come from Thoresby, so you can still get the occasional lot of English coal. This is the A and B engine house. Remember, there are 4 engines at Claymills, A, B, C and D. You usually work 2 at a time, and then you had 2 that you were maintaining. These engines were the first to stop, and sadly, during a period 1971 to 1993, the roof of the engine house was almost off. So the rain poured down. We're currently actually now seeking to restore B engine. And that's started over on this side. You can see there's some new bits here they've already made, and there's a lot of work going on to actually strip the engine down to clean it up. If you're looking for a really fascinating hobby, this is the place to be. This is the barring engine. It's called barring because it was to moving the engine round to the right position. And these 2 little engines, one here and one in the, are fascinating stories in their own right. They were built at the Repton workshops of William John Stevenson Peach. He was an incredible man. At the end of the 19th century, his family had a foundry in Derby, so he had lots of spare money. And he decided to buy this big house in Repton and to set up a workshop there. And he started this workshop as a training workshop. So he had all these boys who were, mostly wealthy people, who went there to learn how to engineer. Henry Royce was, for instance, one of his pupils. And there was an affiliation gradually between William John Stevenson Peach's workshop and the Repton School. And then he moved on to Malvern, where he met Harry Morgan, and the first Morgan car. The first Morgan car, the chassis, most of the engineering was actually done not in Malvern but in Repton.
Charles Darwin's theory that man originated from fish is indeed true. Ladies and gentlemen, the Marcus Island family!
All the woodwork around the place that they're here, like these wheels, I've done the forearm for the old pipe tray outside.
It's been a great day here at the Claymills Victorian pumping station. It's been a great steaming weekend, but these steaming weekends we have about 7 a year. So you can come at any time. Just keep an eye on our website www.claymills.org.uk and that will give you all the details. We're also open every Thursday and Saturday, not non-steaming, but people come and look around and see what we've got, and they usually get free tea. Thank you.